Welcome to the Learneezee Cast. I'm Rico Lazo, and joining me as always is the incredible Patrick Bastien. At Learneezee, we dive into the inspiring stories of individuals thriving in foreign countries, from teachers to life coaches, entrepreneurs to environmentalists. We've interviewed a diverse range of fascinating guests. Today, in our Experts Corner, we have a special treat for you. Get ready to meet our first guest, who is a full-time content creator, the amazing Franziska Franzi Niehus, aka TravelComic. Hailing from Germany, Franzi's expertise lies in travel, education, and culture. With a staggering 60 countries visited, Franzi crafts captivating travel videos in English and Turkish, while also teaching the art and craft of content creation and video making. Her engaging content has garnered an impressive following with over 2 million combined followers across TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. Through her collaborations, Franzi brings together diverse audiences, sharing authentic content and personal perspectives. So welcome to Learneezee. Franzi, how are you doing?
Hi Rico, thank you so much. I'm super excited to be here and tuning in from Istanbul. How are you?
Cool.
We're doing great. So happy to have you, Franzi. And Patrick, how are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm doing excellent. Yeah, here in Freiburg. So I'm really happy to be part of this interview.
Well, I wouldn't know it's evening with the sun shining on your face in Europe.
Yeah,
But
sure.
that's how
I don't
it
have
goes.
the lovely ring light that some of you guys have, the pros. But
It's all
it's a
good.
lovely sunset here in Freiburg. Yeah.
But Franzi, as I mentioned in the introduction, this is a show that really highlights people living in foreign countries, living these amazing lives. But we always like to know more about our guests. So can you tell us where you're originally from and the languages that you speak?
All right, sure, thank you so much. So my name is Franziska. In German pronunciation, I would say Franziska, so it's a little bit more harsh. But I'm from Germany, from a small town near Berlin, the capital of Germany. And 5 years ago, I decided to move to Turkey, where I'm living right now. That's why I learned Turkish in the last 5 years. Actually, I'm still learning, like every day I'm learning a new word. But I also learned English and a tiny little bit of French.
Oh, that's cool, Franziska. I'm being in Germany. I'm just curious. What got you inspired to move to Turkey? That's not always so usual for Germans to have that feeling that Turkey would be the best option for them. Like, how did that come about? Yeah.
Yeah, Patrick, that's a very good question, and actually a question that everybody is asking me every single day. So my answer is always, life is so unpredictable, and sometimes one moment can change your entire life, and this happened with me. And it's a funny story. I was watching a movie with my mother, and it was one of those moments that changed my life, because in Germany, like 10 years ago, you could buy these TV programs, and in these TV programs there was like a free DVD with a movie every week, and my mom would always buy it and we would watch the movie together. And I remember I was 18 years old, and the movie that we watched in this week was called In July. Right now we have In July, so it's fitting really well. And in this movie, it's about two Germans. They are hitchhiking from Germany to Istanbul. And I remember I was watching the movie. It was the first time I ever saw Istanbul in a movie, and I was so amazed by the drone shot at the end. I remember they took a shot from the bridge, and I was like, oh my god, I need to go there and I need to experience the same adventures they did in the movie. So this movie really inspired me to go to Istanbul. I then went to Istanbul a few weeks later, and I stayed, and here I am, 5 years.
Wow, so quickly.
Staying here, yeah. It was a long process actually to finally move to Istanbul. So 10 years ago I was just visiting, but now I've been here for 5 years, finally, yeah.
Well, amazing adventurous spirit that you have, Franzi, for sure. To be able to uproot yourself and go to a foreign country and learn a new language, and that's just incredible. But we're really interested as well in your content creation journey. You've been doing content creation for a long time. You've garnered a large following, as I mentioned in the intro. But what got you interested in content creation? What was the reason for doing so?
So when I was a teenager, I was actually really interested. My dream was to become a Hollywood director. I was seeing myself directing big Hollywood movies. That's why my dream was always to study film. But in Germany, studying film is either very expensive because it's at a private school, or you need to have a lot of experience already. And since I was 18 years old, fresh out of high school, I had no experience, no money, so it was impossible for me to study film. But then luckily, YouTube, kicked off, and it created a new platform for everybody in the world without high fees, without any experience, to become this film director of whatever they wanted to be. So this was kind of the gate for me to fulfill my passion and to try this out. And I remember I was doing really cringe, embarrassing videos back in the days. I started when I was 14 years old. And it kind of,
Wow, okay.
with every passion or hobby, it kind of evolves, and it either like stays your hobby or it becomes your profession. And in my case, I kind of flowed with this social media and YouTube, and every year there was something new to explore about this world. Now I created my own kind of Hollywood for myself. So this is where I feel comfortable and where I feel like I can accomplish something without proving anybody that I need to have a lot of money or study something to be something. So yeah, this is kind of how it all started.
But just a quick follow-up. So you mentioned earlier that you used to watch these films with your mother, and you saw a film about Istanbul. So you've always had this fascination with film. Was there any one moment that really got you into even film in the first place, and why you wanted to be a film director? Was there one moment that you can recall?
Yeah, about Istanbul specifically, it was this movie that I watched. But about filming and becoming, a producer or something like this, it was more a passion inside of me that I just explored and found out about it. And I'm very happy and grateful because I think most people, they all have passions inside of them, but not all people actually find out what's their passion. So I think everybody here and people in this field, they can be very lucky that they found this out about themselves. And I must say that I thought it was my passion, and then I realized it is really my passion. And here I am 15 years later, still enjoying what I'm doing. So I'm very happy about that. But it's more like a process and progress, of course.
Oh, that's very nice, Franziska. And just skipping to a little bit about what you're doing today, in terms of the types of projects you're doing. You do a lot of solo travel clips, and I checked out the one that you recently did, where you were tracking your trip from Vienna to Istanbul. Is that correct?
Exactly, yes.
Wow. This is super impressive. I was just like, oh God, I would never do that.
I was thinking the same about
before
it,
we
by
get
the
in,
way.
yeah, yeah, but I understood it was for a good cause. So it was something that you were doing to raise funds for the earthquake victims in Turkey. So from my point of view, it was a very worthy endeavor, and I could see you went over your goal, which was excellent. But before we get into more details about how you were inspired to do that, how does a beautiful woman like you deal with this concept of solo travel? That people would be very nervous about. How is this? Because you're an experienced traveler, but it's still a question of doing these types of trips on your own across the globe. Some people would say, wow, she's taking some risks there, and I'm just curious, how does that? Has anyone ever asked you about that? And do you have any tips for someone who wants to do that kind of solo travel, and also that kind of content creation? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I think lots of people are very curious about it because most people, they feel more comfortable traveling with their friends or going to somewhere where they know it's going to be comfortable. Doing something more risky or adventurous, especially when you are a solo female traveler, is of course something that gets a lot of
Mhm.
attention. And for me, honestly, it was always a question of, do I feel confident enough to do this on myself? And in the beginning, I was not confident at all. In fact,
Mhm.
I remember when I was a teenager, another person came to me and said to me, "You are the shyest person I've ever encountered in my entire life." And I was literally not speaking to anybody. I didn't know how to hold a conversation or anything like this. So I told myself, okay, I need to change this. I need to step out of my comfort zone and I need to do something that literally forces me to become a better version of myself. And the way I did this was going to a country where nobody speaks my language. So I had to talk to
Mhm.
other people, to understand or to get help in general. So traveling, I didn't do traveling to have fun. I did it to actually improve myself. So this was a big step. And actually, one funny thing is that people always say you're so crazy, you're hitchhiking as a woman. But for me, hitchhiking is like a therapy that helps me to get out of my shyness because I have to approach people
Mhm.
directly. I have to do something unusual. People are looking at me. And I was so uncomfortable with
Mhm.
all these things in my daily life that hitchhiking,
Mhm.
traveling by myself, couch surfing, sleeping at strangers,
Mhm.
places, and all these kind of things just helped me personally to be a better person. So for me, it is very important that people understand, if you have the fear of traveling solo, then ask yourself, why do you have this fear? And do you want to overcome this fear? You don't have to, but in my case, I wanted to do it because I wanted to improve myself. And still until now, I still get nervous sometimes when I'm hitchhiking or approaching strangers in a different city. But it's always a challenge for me and I really enjoy it. So the risk itself, to get back to your actual
Mhm.
question, yes, the risk is always there. But I feel like risk is everywhere all the time. And when, for example, I was walking from Vienna to Istanbul, and most of the times I was extremely safe because I didn't encounter any other people on the way. And people always think when you're walking alone in the woods, there's like, a bad person waiting behind a tree for you, but the reality is actually not like this. And a lot of things are actually made up in our heads or in our minds. But of course, I do take precautions and I try to make my trips as safe as possible. And I think that's the most
Mhm.
important thing, to always educate yourself about what you're about to do. If there's a
Mhm.
risk involved, try always to find out how can you minimize the risk as much as possible. So I'm not saying
Mhm.
do whatever you want, don't look at the risks. Look at the risk, minimize it, and try to step out of your comfort zone.
I like that. Yeah.
Wow, that's really amazing. I had no idea that you maybe were even an introvert. I don't know. You're kind of surprising me, Franzi, with that you've
Respect.
really grown as a person through your travel. I mean, just very impressive. And I think for a lot of people, solo travel is probably up there with like public speaking of things that they just would not want to do. So very, very inspiring, very, very powerful. Can you tell us more about the trip that you just completed? Before we went on air, you were talking about you just got home to Istanbul a few days ago. But where did this desire to walk from Vienna, Austria, all the way, I don't even know how many kilometers, to Istanbul? What was the inspiration? How did you plan for the trip? And what are some of the, I guess, some of the things you've learned from this most recent journey of yours?
So, as you probably have heard, there were these extreme earthquakes happening in the east of Turkey and also in Syria. And it happened on the 6th of February. And at 4:20 a.m. in the morning, I woke up because the hotel was shaking so much and I didn't actually
Wow.
realize what was happening. And for the first time in my life, I experienced something like this. I didn't know what to do except for running out of the hotel because I was on a skiing trip. I was in the east of Turkey. That's why I was 250 kilometers away from the epicenter of the earthquake. And even though I was so far away from the epicenter, it was the most extreme thing that I've ever seen in my entire life. So a day later, we actually went to the epicenter because we were so close and we helped over there. And the things that I saw there were the most disastrous that I've ever seen in my life. So I had to go back to Germany and I thought about what little thing can I do to make or to do a little difference. And that's when I was thinking about also everything got so overwhelming and I thought about actually walking and going on a long distance walk. And then I thought, okay, why not use this walk and at the same time try to raise donations for the earthquake victims? Because it's a matter that's very close to my heart since I experienced it by myself. So I started this walk without any expectations. I had no idea if I would raise any donations or if anybody would actually, follow this walk. And I remember when I started this walk, I had no idea if it was even possible to walk to Istanbul. It was just an idea. And then I made my research and I remember there's like this famous Danube bicycle lane. And I was like, okay, if bicycles can go to Istanbul, then I can also walk to Istanbul. So then I realized there is something called the Sultan's Trail. I have a cap here with the Sultan's Trail logo. So it's like an official way. It's like organized by a Dutch NGO. And it starts in Vienna, goes to Istanbul, 2,400 kilometers. But the special thing about this way is that it follows the footsteps of the Sultan Süleymaniye, so the history of the Ottoman Empire. Because, the Ottoman Empire tried to conquer the West. They didn't succeed at the Kahlenberg of Vienna. That's where the walk starts. And nowadays, walking the way, the opposite direction from Vienna to Istanbul is a sign of peace. Contrary to what the Ottoman Empire tried to go from Istanbul to Vienna. So it has a bigger meaning behind this way. So it's not just randomly walking to Istanbul. But yeah, I've seen lots of historical sites on the way. And my goal was not really to raise as many donations as possible. Okay, that was a great side effect. But it was important to me that I didn't give up, that I would be an example for people that want to change something in their lives or that want to do something good in their lives. So that was more important to me. It wasn't important how many kilometers I walked or how much money I raised. It was important that I didn't give up. So yeah, this is something that I got out of this walk. It was very hard. I walked 115 days, almost 4 months. And I just arrived a few days ago. So I'm still in the stage of, settling down back to my old life and, get used to not walking 10 hours a day anymore. I have so much time now, I don't know what to do anymore.
And to create some more content, right?
That's pretty intense. Yeah. 10 hours of walking a day. Oh, that's respect. I don't know if I would do that. Yeah. I would definitely say that's quite impressive. We have a kind of curiosity about content creation in general, right? There's this idea that somehow AI will somehow replace content creators in the near future, but obviously none of us really, because we're in this, quote unquote profession to do this because we think, we want to connect with other human beings, and it'd be great to get your take on, the what's going to be the future, or what's the future of content creation from your perspective as a professional creator and a successful one. If you can help us with your vision, a little bit.
Absolutely, I feel like, and since I started social media or video making in general, everything is evolving all the time around us. Sometimes we notice it, sometimes we don't even notice it because it just, is a process. With video making, I feel like, and especially AI, it is helping us a lot right now, We don't have to think about thousands of hours about a good script anymore. We just say, AI, hey, write me a script about this. And then 10 seconds later, we have the script, right? So this is definitely a big help.
Yeah.
Something that I see a little bit problematic about it is that what makes us human are our emotions. And with AI texts or generally generated things from my AI, it still feels a little bit robotic. I don't feel the emotions and the real experiences that we humans go through. So this is something that I hope will not get lost in the future, because we will also get used to this kind of AI generated content that maybe one day we will not even be able to tell anymore, hey, this was not written by a human. Now we can still figure it out kind of, because, there's a comma before the end, or, some emotions are just weird, so it doesn't make sense. But I definitely think that AI in terms of editing and helping me as a content creator to save time is great. And I have so much more time now to actually focus on something that I didn't have the time before. But at the same time, we need to be careful, of course. AI is going to take a lot of our skills away, and with that I mean that we will also neglect working on those skills, like script writing. Is anybody still working on script writing skills if AI can just do it in 10 seconds? I'm not so sure anymore. So I can say, like, most content creators nowadays, they still learned the craft by themselves without AI. But the new generations that don't know a life before AI, this is going to be very different. And yeah, I'm very excited to see, or curious to see, how AI is going to change the future and also content creation. But yeah, it's going to be interesting.
I definitely concur. I think AI is something that's here to stay, and it's not just for content creators, of course. It's for anybody who wants to become more efficient, to be able to leverage technology to do some really amazing things that without it may not be possible, or would take many, many more hours to do. But I'm also really curious. I mean, you know, in the bio that I read of yours, Franzi, you've taught content creation, you've taught video making. But what suggestions do you have for individuals who are interested in becoming content creators? You spoke a lot about, being fearful of, having conversations. A lot of people struggle with recording themselves and putting themselves out there. But what tips or strategies or suggestions do you have for people who've not created content and want to really see if they've got what it takes?
So my number one suggestion is definitely just do it. We can never evolve or become better if we don't even try. So definitely just put out whatever you have, and with every video, with every practice, you're going to be better. And as we were teaching, it's all about consistency. You have to put your work out there, otherwise you're going to get stuck at one place in life, no matter what it is, if it's video making or any other skill. But if you want to improve, you just have to over and over and over do it. So this is definitely something that people don't believe in. They feel like, okay, I did 10 videos and I'm still a shit video maker, but it actually takes 1,000 videos, and people, they don't believe in the consistency. So I think this is a mindset that you need to change first, and then you're going to get better by just improving. And same with the gym. People give up so easily after going to the gym 5-6 times because they don't see the progress. But it takes so much more time, and this is with everything in life. So this is definitely my tip. But of course, take advantage of all the resources around you. You're never alone. Talk to your friends. Try to find an accountability partner. So these are the things that really help you. Go and meet your friends in a Zoom meeting online, and keep yourself accountable for whatever in life, and this will definitely motivate you and push you forward.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you for that, Franziska. This is it's been a wonderful interview, and we're looking forward, hopefully, to do a follow-up interview in the near future. Rico, anything else from your side?
Well, I just wanted to say, Franzi, you've been in the game a long time. As you mentioned, your videos were cringy at first, like anybody's are when they're first getting started. But do you have a project on the horizon or directions that you're looking to take your content into? I did mention you're across TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. But is there anything that you see yourself doing? I mean, we've talked about burnout. We've talked about being consistent. But are there things that you're looking to explore going forward?
Definitely, I want to also try to get a little bit away from the social media content because it's very fast-paced, content, and I want to create something more meaningful. That's why I'm working right now on a documentary about my trip, for example, a little bit long format, like 60 minutes or something like this. These are these kind of things that it takes more time, but at the same time, it also gives more value. And that's one of the projects that I want to focus more on in the future.
Sounds fantastic. You have to let us know when it drops, Franzi.
Please, yeah, we
Absolutely,
can.
yeah. I invite you to the premiere, and we're all going to watch it together.
That'd be a great event for us.
Fantastic. Well, Franzi, I think we've reached the end of our interview today, but we really want to say thank you so much for coming on to the Learneezee Cast. We really do like to highlight the lives of people living their best lives, living abroad, and it was a real joy to bring you onto the show and have you share your insights about content creation, travel, etc. So thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Rico and Patrick, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be here. I hope we see each other again in the future. And yeah, I wish you a great evening and morning wherever you are in the world.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you. Yeah.
Thanks so much. Wow, what an incredible interview. I was blown away by Franzi. She is a content creation machine, as well as a noble person who has her heart in the right place, wanting to raise money for victims of an earthquake, to just bringing awareness and really just, showing people that it is all about getting out of your comfort zone. If that wasn't inspirational enough, I don't know what else is. What are your thoughts, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I just kept imagining, wow, she did this to get over her fear of socializing with people, and so she really pushed herself to an extreme, and now she's an incredible, social media content creator. So you can see how facing your fears can lead to amazing success, but of course there is always a risk of failure. But if you face your fears, you at least have a result, hopefully, that you'll be satisfied with. And I think she's very happy with her life, and she still pushes herself even harder. I mean, that whole idea of going from Vienna to Istanbul. I mean, could you make your fundraising any more complex? Again, she just picked something that was, really difficult and pushed herself to a limit, more or less to prove to herself she could. Not only just to raise the money, which was kind of cool.
Yeah, that was sort of like the additional benefit, the value added in. But really, it was about taking on a challenge, staying committed, and finishing what you start. And so again, her message just really resonates. Very powerful stuff. But sort of getting into now what is, switching the order of things. At the end of our show now, we can kind of get into what we've been up to. So Pat, I'm curious for you, what's been on your mind recently?
Yeah. Usual segment. We're now closing with it, which is, gives you a chance if you're not interested in hearing us chatter on.
If you're still listening, thank you so much, listeners.
Yeah. We appreciate you sticking with us. I mean, as you all know, there was a submarine called the Titan that ended up tragically not returning, surfacing. Thank you, from the deep ocean after it tried to do a tour around the Titanic, and that was a tragedy. But maybe some folks don't know there was also another tragedy, not in the Atlantic but in the Mediterranean, where there were over 500 people on a boat from Africa to Greece. Unfortunately, the boat was not made for so many people, and there were several hundred people who died, on the same basically the same week. And I read this in the New York Times article, and we'll put it as a link. And the article basically spoke about the contrast of how much energy was put to save these 5 adventurers compared to how little energy was put to save these refugees trying to find a better life for themselves. And it made me really realize, until I read the article, I had lost track of these events that are happening almost daily in the Mediterranean, and how little we're doing to help these people. And it reminded me how certain people have greater status or value, and how that affects what we do to help them. And it's it's a matter of money. I get it, and what we value, but we should use that to reflect a little bit about who were we paying attention to, and what are our biases, and hopefully we can start to change this focus on the billionaires, and
well, thank you for bringing awareness to this, because I think oftentimes we're not aware of these issues, partly because of the way the news is portrayed by the media, right? There's a slant in some ways, and so you have to really dig very deep to find those independent news outlets. I have to give props to those independent news outlets, because without them we wouldn't necessarily know what's really happening on the ground in so many places. So
100%. And the hope is these outlets can survive I would say the fragmentation of the industry. Basically, it's been happening with every disruption that the internet has caused. Industries have gone by the wayside, and we should try to support as much as we can these outlets. New York Times is obviously already very sustainable, but those that also speak about the plights of the least of us, the ones that don't have status, we have to try to support them as well. And Rico, what's on your mind? Enough about me.
Well, no, but thank you, Patrick, again for raising awareness to things that are happening in the world that people should be aware of, and to also provide some food for thought for people to really question the things that we're made aware of. But to answer your question, what's up with me? Well, I just finished my participation in a content creation program, and it was a wonderful journey. I'm actually making a video on that I'll be releasing here soon.
Cool.
But through this journey that I've been on as a part of this podcast, even mentioning interviewing a life coach, I have decided to take the plunge of becoming a life coach myself. I really have a big heart, and I want to make a difference in the world, and I want to help people achieve their goals. And so I recently enrolled in the Jay Shetty certification school, and I'll be sharing more about my experience as I go through this program.
Awesome.
There's 2 different components: a self-paced study and then a cohort experience as well. But ultimately it's about learning the sort of art and craft of coaching and asking powerful questions and helping your clients goal set to go from basically being stuck to unstuck and really thriving and reaching their goals. So that's one thing that's been on my mind. But the other thing I just wanted to mention about life coaching is that I heard from a life coach on a different podcast. It wasn't Jay Shetty's podcast. And the notion was you should want to project the best version of yourself, because we're going to be judged anyway, whether we shirk and are afraid of expressing our true colors, or like Franzi said in the interview, going after your passions and getting out of your comfort zone. You're going to be judged either way. So would you rather be judged putting your best out there versus being afraid to put your best out there? And I think that's a really, really powerful message, that we all need to get out of our comfort zones and be willing to listen to the haters, because there's going to be haters regardless. You don't need to pay them any mind, because it doesn't really matter, right? And so with that being said, though, I did want to just highlight one other thing that's been on my mind. You mentioned it, of course, earlier, is AI. Of course, we've talked about this in other episodes at some length. And I recently discovered a tool called Yoodli. It is an AI-powered tool to help people improve their speaking. So helping you become aware of your use of filler words, your lack of eye contact, looking at the camera, how often or how little you smile, and the pace or the speed at which you speak. So it's a wonderful tool that is available for free. This isn't even a plug for Yoodli, but just to highlight that again, AI is one of those things that I think is here to stay, and I would encourage anybody, wherever you sit on the debate of whether AI should be used or not, it's a tool like anything else. It's about how you use it, learn to use it, grow, become either the best version of yourself, and share that version of yourself. So that's what's been on my mind, Pat.
This is awesome. Yeah, I love the segue into AI again. I believe, if you have these powerful tools, you should use them. And we'll be doing a lot more courses and teasers on new topics around AI. One of them will be coming soon. I can't speak too much about it, but there will be something coming down.
Any teasers? Any teasers at all, Pat?
Yeah,
any topics or anything that can let out of the?
Has something to do with blockchain and
something
AI,
with blockchain and AI. Okay.
Yeah, it'll be it's something I'm working with some good friends and colleagues of mine. So it'll come down the pike, and we'll speak more about it once we have our first piece of content on it. Yeah. But yeah,
absolutely.
AI is here to stay, and we're going to be using it as much as we can.
Absolutely. Well, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. It was a wonderful interview with Franzi, wonderful guest. Always good to see you, Pat. And as we always say here at Learneezee, keep learning easy. And until next time, everyone.
Yeah, until next time.